Hello everyone, welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. Let's continue, shall we? The next day I headed to the hospital. Last time, I hadn't been able to get the assurance I wanted, but today, I was going to make them tell me I was sane. I was going to have the doctor remember me. I was going to tell him that was his patient until 4 years ago, and then I was going to have him listen to everything I had to say. I wasn't the crazy one. It was the demon girl and Misumi. I knew that's what he would tell me. This hospital opened at 8, earlier than a lot of them. That's why I decided to come right on time. Now, I'm not used to hospital times, but aren't they open all the time though? I mean, this could be like a clinic or something, but I was under the impression things like the emergency room are opened at all times. That might just be the emergency room though. I don't know. I don't know the different kinds of hospitals. I'm an American. I don't look into the medical field. My medical field sucks, so I actively avoid such things. So, yeah. Only to find the lobby sofas packed with old people. How? How could there be this many people here when it just opened? Had they all cheated and got here before it opened somehow? That's not fair. Well, I mean, they're old people. They need a lot more help than younger people. A lot of the time. There's still some, yeah, sure, there's some old people that are, like a spring chicken. But the vast majority of old people are decrepit. And, and there's not a lot of young people that have conditions. Now, nowadays, I would argue that, yeah, there's a lot of more mental conditions nowadays. But back in 2009, I would imagine a lot of young people were healthier. But, yeah. I was angry, but I didn't have any choice but to wait. It was after an hour of waiting that I realized I should have made an appointment. But very shortly after, they called my name, and I was relieved to see that I wouldn't have to wait as long as last time. But the doctor waiting for me in the exam room wasn't Dr. Takashina, but a white-haired old man I'd never seen before.
高階先生は
Where's Dr. Takashina? The nurse standing behind him, Hazuki, I think, answered apologetically.
高階先生はもういません。
Dr. Takashina isn't here. Did something happen to him? Well, it might be one of his off days, okay. Isn't here.
もういないというか、過労がたたって先週末に倒れてしまわれてね。今週はそれでずっと休みだよ。
He collapsed from overwork last weekend. He's been out the whole week. That's unfortunate. But it's common from what I hear in Japan. It's still unfortunate. He seems like a pretty cool guy. Yeah, he seems like the type of person I aspire to be when dealing with children or individuals with mental issues like Takumi. um, you know, be calm, be soft but stern. You know, I like Doctor Takashina, even though I've only seen him like a few times. Like I like him as a character. I think he's pretty cool. It's like, it's just, oh no, my one ally. Wait, was it really overwork that made him collapse?
陰謀だ。
It's a
悪魔女の陰謀だ。
it's a conspiracy. It's the demon girl.
西条さん
Nichijou? You need to go to a psychiatrist, not a regular doctor. Jeez. She must have poisoned his food or sent him a threatening letter to stress him out. It was the demon girl's doing. She was trying to isolate me. Alright, Takumi? Takumi? First off, overwork is common in Japan. You would know this. And second, I think you're just being delusional right now. Like, Now, you obviously can't say that to a delusional person like in their face, right? Because that can also cause issues. But it's important to neither encourage the delusion or to outright dismiss it. Like you have to be somewhere in the middle, right? Uh, Sometimes what I like to do is I like to try to hear them out and then try to reason them with them a little. Is like, are you sure that's how it went? Are you sure? But the very few times I had to deal with someone with how do I say it, mental issues like that were very few and far between, and I'm by no means a licensed professional in that field. It's just I had to do that sometimes, like a few times for work. So it's very important to um, not to encourage that type of delusion or to either outright deny it, because again, outright denying it is would cause a bunch of issues, but also encouraging it would also cause another set of issues. And it's you have to handle that situation very delicately. It's like a balance. It's like a balancing act, but like in a mental, emotional, conversational type of way. So yeah. Anyways, again, which is why I like Takashina, from what little I've seen him. So yeah, yeah. I had no intention of letting anybody but Dr. Takashina talk to me, so instead of getting an exam, I fled from the hospital. Damn it all. I leaned up against the fence on the roof and looked up at the sky. Shibuya's sky was an ugly color.
病院にはもう行かない方がいい。
I should stay away from that hospital from now on. The demon girl's net was closing in on me. Maybe there was nowhere for me to run. Maybe that detective I'd met yesterday was actually a fake and working for her. Maybe she'd used him to test me. I mean, the timing was just too good to be a coincidence. She'd showed up in my room after the two of them had approached me. She was a demon after all. She wasn't human. She could easily control somebody's mind. I didn't have any proof of this, of course, but I also didn't have any proof that she wasn't a demon. So I just had to assume the worst if I was going to survive. Wasn't there anybody on my side? Everybody felt like my enemy. Everybody felt like they were working for the demon girl.
助けて。誰か助けてよ。
Save me. Somebody save me. Why didn't I have anybody on my side? Why was no one helping me? Why did this have to happen to me? I felt so lonely. I wanted something to support me, someone to protect me, something to protect me. Well, you could try to move back in with your parents, even though we haven't really seen them that much. Like, they allowed you to live alone in a crate. Like, I'm pretty sure they might be at least a little liberal with you, right? So move back in with your parents, right? You know, you could talk to Nanami, you could talk to Misumi, you could, you know, like, I mean, you don't have to self-isolate. Now, I had this problem when I was younger, where I would sometimes self-isolate, and sometimes you have to do that, but there becomes a state where you do it too much, and you know, again, from what I said from like the first few episodes, I think Takumi is Takumi to me feels like someone that I could have easily become if a lot of things in my life went wrong, and I want to help him out. I do. I want him. I want to help him out. Honestly, if there's a route or something that like really helps him out, that might be my favorite route. But yeah. Anything, anybody who could offer me help.
見つけて早く剣を
Find it quickly. The sword.
そうすれば君は救われるわ
Find it, and you'll be saved. Suddenly, I remembered those words.
剣
The sword. If this was a video game, the plot would probably involve me being a hero who needed to find the legendary sword to defeat a demon king. Oddly enough, I'd heard the word sword from 2 3D girls lately. And there was still a chance that FES was on my side. Girl B, Senna, I think was likely on the side of the demon girl from the way she'd acted though. A sword.
剣だ剣を手に入れるんだそうすれば
Sword. Get the sword, and then... I whispered to myself as if I was in a trance. I was willing to cling to any hope now, no matter how small. If I could just get the sword, I would be released from this nightmare. I didn't know that for sure, but I had to hope. I didn't 100% believe FES when she said it would bring me salvation, but I didn't have any other options. I decided to just look into it and see what I found. I ran a search online. First, I checked to see if there were any anime where characters had swords like the one FES and Senna had, but I didn't find any. I'd mostly seen that coming. I always kept an eye on upcoming anime. There were 30 or 40 each season, so it was pretty hard, but I always watched the first episode of each series and then decided if I was going to continue it. And of course, I could watch anything that was on satellite TV using YouTube. So there was no way I could have missed one. I hadn't seen any anime with weird swords, especially ones with such a distinctive shape. I would have been sure to remember them if they showed up, and I didn't remember seeing anything like them at all. Unless, of course, I'd been controlled by someone else when I watched the show. Next, I decided to search for the swords themselves, not anime.
くそほとんどがゲームの攻略サイトじゃんか
Crap, it's all video game walkthrough sites. Some of the swords that came up in the results were ones I recognized well, like ESO's Shangri-La Edge. I wasn't getting anywhere. Alright, the Shangri-La Edge, so... a hidden city in the Tibetan Mountains edge. The sword of the hidden city of the Tibetan Mountains. Honestly, I think that could be a cool weapon. Anyways, I needed to find that sword and fast. I had a feeling that Senna Girl had something more specific. What was it? Remember or you'll be stuck in this nightmare forever.
答えろ見えるんだな
Answer me. You can see it, right?
ディソードが
The D sword.
ディソード
D sword. Right, the D sword. I searched for that word. And I got hits. Okay. D sword. Fantasy term. Weak key amnesia. A sword of negative darkness unleashed on the world, called the D sword. A fictional weapon said to be created in the ancient ages of Europe by Galadiel, the king of wicked hearts. Made by feeding on humanity's negative emotions, they eventually came to devour the hearts of the black knights who took them. What makes them distinct from other sacred or magical swords is that they're said to be... I bought a sword. It's called a D sword, I heard. I just love how freaking weird it is. Town Vanguard is my heart's oasis these days. You don't know many stores as weird as that place outside of Akihabara. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look up D sword if this is actually like a mythological thing. I never heard of this, but okay. DI sword. It could just be something for the game, but I'm gonna look that up anyways. Okay, so I'm guessing it's just for I'm guessing it's just for the game because I found this game in Chaos Child. That's all I found. So, and it got hits. Just two, but these two links felt like the path that would save me. Desperately trying to calm my excitement, I decided to click on the top one first. Page not found. The page you requested could not be found. Check the spelling in the address bar. Shit, it was down. Damn it. Why did it have to be a dead link? Yeah. No, I needed to calm down. I just had to go back and click on the cached version. The page had an illustration. It was based off a description in an old text, supposedly. Okay. D sword. A sword of negative darkness. Fictional weapon. Alright, hold on. Alright, the Black Knights have took them.
元ネタは伝承か
So it's from some old legend? Yeah, okay. What makes them distinct from other sacred or magical swords is that they are said to be invisible. An unarmed warrior would wave his hand, and just as in the tales of the Kamai Taichi, their foe's arm will be cut clean from their body and fall to the ground without them so much as feeling it. There are many tales and old legends of weapons like this which defied natural law, and the D swords themselves appear in several apocrypha and ancient texts. The D swords are considered to be another instance of the Kamaitachi phenomenon. Kamaitachi are fictional creatures often described as monsters with sharp scythes on their forelegs, but this was best understood as an attempt to depict them as the ancients imagined them. They are, in fact, creatures with little physical form, like wind spirits. Modern science has investigated the Kamaitachi phenomenon, and scientists now believe that it originated in a phenomenon seen in places with dry air, where a vacuum state is formed that can cut skin. So it's from some old legend. Gladale Saga.
セナって女が持ってたのに比べるとこっちは随分地味だな
Gladale Saga, a fictional novel based on Eastern European legends of Gradiol, the king of wicked hearts. This 23-volume high fantasy series depicts the war between 7 Black Knights and Grandiol, written by R.C.O. Ziegler, published between 1929 and 1951, and translated into several languages, but commercially unsuccessful due to its complex writing style. All volumes are out of print in Japan and difficult to find. Okay, well, I'm just going to assume that this is fiction within the fictional world of Chaos Head because the only instance of the D swords were Chaos Head and Chaos Child when I looked it up. So, oh wait, hold on. It's not nearly as cool looking as the ones that Senna girl had. Why did it have to be such a minor weapon anyway? Why couldn't it be Excalibur or the blade of Kusanagi or something else big and famous? No, this wasn't the time to complain. Whether it was famous or not, if it was going to save me, I didn't care. I decided to look into it a bit more. I tried the second link on the search page. The phrase, "I bought a D-sword" stood out to me. Could you buy D-swords? The Daily Diary of a Masturbation Addict. Blog of a Bored Guy. Okay. The author was evidently a man, which meant it wasn't the demon girl or Senna. Okay. I bought a D sword. I bought a D sword. It's called a D sword, I heard. I just love how freaking weird it is. Town Vanguard is my heart's oasis. These days, you don't see many stories as weird as that place outside of Akihabara. And they certainly didn't have the same writing style as Shogun. Either they were a different person entirely, or the person writing the blog was deliberately disguising their writing style. Okay. But Akihabara's shops aren't really my style. It's either computer parts or porn with those guys. And that's not me, you know? There used to be so many cool weird places in Shibuya. Bet you can tell by my age from me saying this. But they all disappeared as time went on. Alright, let's look that up. Okay. Person inside. So, most often used to refer to the voice actor of a character in an anime or a game. It can also sometimes be used to refer to the staff of a company or an organization. The term is said to have come from a line from a famous manga that goes, "There is no person inside." The Kamaitachi phenomenon, an extremely rare phenomenon where what look like blade cuts will suddenly appear on the skin. The Kamaitachi is a legendary wind monster located in the Koshinetsu region of Japan. The monster is said to look like a weasel with sharp sickle-like claws on both hands, which it uses to cut people, causing the aforementioned cuts to appear. The true cause of the phenomenon is not truly understood. It's not fully understood. Either they were a different person entirely, or the person writing the blog was deliberately disguising their writing style. There was no way to tell from here, so I stopped reading. Those old shots were incredible. How incredible? They made Town Vanguard look like a toy store for little kids. Ruffalo LMAO. Anyway, enough of the past. Who came up with the name D-Sword anyway, lol? It's a pretty big and looks like somebody put some time designing it. But the only reason it could have ended in a place like Town Vanguard is that the cashier, Yo-chan, likes that stuff. She even made a special corner for fantasy weapons a while ago, lol. It's got stuff like fake-ass looking lightsabers and light-up shurikens. Kind of a disappointment, honestly. I was hoping there'd be something cooler. I did end up buying ... The store page, referred to as Town Vanguard, was evidently in Shibuya. It felt too much like of a coincidence, or maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe the reason I'd run into girls carrying D swords in Shibuya was that the place was selling them was here. Weird things got popular with small subgroups of people here in Shibuya all the time, right? I searched for Town Vanguard, but I couldn't find the store's page. I did find a page with a map, so I downloaded it. If they didn't have a public page, they probably didn't have an online store either. I searched the taboo auction site too, but didn't find anything. I'd have to go to the store directly to see for myself. I didn't really want to leave the house, but
剣は手に入れなくちゃ。手に入れないとダメなんだ。
I need the sword. I need to get the sword. At this point, it felt like the one good option I had for fighting off the demon girl. So Takumi is now deluding himself into thinking a toy sword is going to help him because of what I'm guessing are the other two girls' delusions about said toy swords. I think that's what's happening. I didn't know what exactly. I didn't know what exactly I would do once I got the sword. I didn't have the courage to try to kill her with it or anything. Maybe something inside me made me think that if I got the sword, maybe I'd just feel a little less afraid. That was it. The D sword was like a good luck charm, something to keep me going. There was something strangely compelling about it. The store was somewhere near Cat Street, it looked like. Cat Street was a twisty street that ran alongside Meiji Street, the main connection between Shibuya and Harajuku. I'd heard once that it was originally a river that got filled in. There were a lot of theories as to why it was called Cat Street. Some of it was because there were a lot of strays there. Others said it was because the street was as narrow as a cat's forehead, a common expression in Japanese. Not that I cared anyway. Cat Street was a good distance from here. It could take at least 15 to 20 minutes to get there. A bike would get me there faster, of course, but I didn't have one. I didn't want to go near the station, so I opted to go through Shoto and cut across Mishashita Park. I walked a little fast across the bridge over Meiji Street. I was finally here. I was in such a hurry that I was starting to get frustrated at how long it was taking. Cat Street was, compared to Center Street, much quieter and felt more like Harajuku than Shibuya. All the stories were selling Osair clothes, the kind I'd never had any interest in. Die, sheeple. Alright, let's see. Osair. Japanese net slang for hip or fashionable. Okay. I can tell I was out of place as I walked down the street, and I got more and more upset. This was totally outside my usual territory. There were a lot more couples than there were in Center Street. I can tell they were all window shopping, lol, trying to show off because they didn't actually have any money, losers. I almost regretted coming, but I choked those feelings down and told myself I needed to get the sword. I walked as fast as I could, face glued to the map, trying to avoid making eye contact with the people around me as I headed to my destination. I'm gonna bring that closer. Hold on. There we go. Town Vanguard was a narrow side street off Cat Street.
ここか。
So this is it. One step down a side street, and the whole place felt very different. The alley was narrow, cramped, and dirty, much too small for a car to travel down. The buildings were old, traditional wooden houses, or empty stores with their shutters pulled down. And all the shutters had graffiti sprayed on them too. You see, even if Cat Street looked fancy with its luxury brand storefronts, that that was all just fake. This dingy alley was the real Cat Street. Behind the facade, it was nothing but garbage and run-down old buildings. Of course, I didn't like the backside any more than the facade. I wasn't any more at home here than on the main street. I only had one home, ESO. Town Vanguard turned out to be a smaller and gloomier shop than I'd expected. I can tell why the blogger who'd mentioned it called it underground. There was a sign reading open, but it certainly did seem busy. Going inside felt really hard. I was too much of a wimp to go into a fast food place all by myself. How could I go in such a creepy looking place? I wanted to go home. No, I needed the sword. What was I supposed to do? I went back and forth outside the shop for a while. There was absolutely no one else in the dark alley. I spent 30 minutes wandering around trying to muster up the courage to go in, and not a single soul came by. Many times I almost felt brave enough to go in, only to give up at the last second. But I couldn't give up and go home empty-handed. This was the only place I could get a D-sword. But my instincts weren't willing to let me go inside. I had a delusion where the shopkeeper came out to meet me. Of course, she was a cute maid, and she spoke to me in an anime voice. She knew exactly what I wanted, and offered me a D-sword with a friendly smile. "Please take the sword, master." I could be such a horn dog sometimes. Everything would be so much easier if that happened. I told myself, and maybe my wish was heard by someone, because a 3D girl did come out of the shop. Her outfit wasn't anything like I'd expected, though. It was some kind of ethnic clothing. It looked really flashy, but the girl herself seemed really gloomy. She had long hair done up in an afro, tied up in a bandana with a strange eerie design on it. I have some questions. She said she'd gotten sick of watching me wander around outside her store, and so came out to check on me. My delusion hadn't become reality. Well, of course, that could never happen. Okay, I'm thinking she's probably either like an African or a um I'm thinking she's an African migrant. Before I knew it, she dragged me inside the store despite my reluctance. I hadn't even had time to say no. I ended up inside. I'd overcome the first hurdle at least. Oh, look at the night. Ooh. It's like spears and stuff. This is a very interesting store. Bunch of trinkets. But what if this store was actually owned by by the demon girl, and the whole D-sword thing was a plot to lure me here? I could be killed at any minute. I looked around the dimly lit shop. There were no other customers. The air was stale and there was a thin haze. It smelled like a mix of cigarette smokes and mold. 5 minutes in here, and I'd probably be ready to throw up. I could see what looked like merchandise, but I couldn't tell if it was for sale or not. It was all placed randomly throughout the store, and to tell the truth, it might have all been garbage. It certainly didn't have any price tags on it, and I realized after I got inside there were a lot of adult porno toys too. There were things you saw in a lot of rape-style H games. I tried not to look at them. This place must have been some kind of adult knick-knack shop. Despite how eager she was to get me inside, once I was past the door, the woman quickly ignored me. She sat down in her stool next to the register and smoked a cigarette. So this haze was at least partly her fault then. I hadn't been inside for a whole minute, but a combination of nervousness and embarrassment, as well as how sick I was feeling, was making me sweat hard. I wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Time to find the D-sword, fast. I walked towards the back, looking at the shelves as I went. I quickly found the fantasy weapons corner that the blog I'd read had talked about. This was the one part of the store stood out. This one part of the store stood out from the rest. There were several toys lined up carefully in a display. The toys themselves all looked cheaped. Eventually, I realized they were mostly just different colored lightsabers. Some of them were so cheaply made that they were obviously fakes. I wasn't sure if they could even light up. The light-up shurikens that the blog had talked about were sold out, it seemed. That was kind of a surprise. But there was one thing mixed in with the lightsabers that was very clearly different from the others. Just one look at it, and I recognized it as a D-sword. It was just like the one I'd seen online. I picked it up. It was lighter than I'd expected. What was it made out of? Soft plastic? There was no blade. No edge was smooth. There was no blade. The edge was smooth. I ran my finger across it, and of course, it didn't hurt at all. Compared to the ones that Senna and FES had, it didn't have any weight or a complex design, and certainly wasn't sharp. Maybe it was a fake? I was a little worried, but this is the only thing in the shop that could possibly be a D-sword. Did this even light up? The one FES had been swinging around at the concert had a kind of glass embedded in the blade, which had lit up with a pale light. It was really cool. There was no glass of the one I was holding. Maybe I should just give up on buying it? This D-sword was such a piece of junk that I was ready to give up, even after coming all the way here, but...
見つけて早く剣を
Find it, quickly, the sword.
そうすれば君は救われる
Find it, and you'll be saved. I remembered FES's words. Right. If I didn't buy it here, I wouldn't have any clue as to where to get another one. Maybe if it just looked cheap, and then it recognized its rightful owner, it would suddenly transform with something with incredible power. Maybe I'd just seen too much anime and manga. But Senna and FES both had D-swords that seemed to possess a strange strength. Maybe this sword would turn out to be the same. What should I do? As I stood there uncertain, the clerk came up behind me. She grinned a gloomy smile and pointed at the D-sword. What? 10,000 yen and I'll throw in a little bonus, she whispered. I was so stunned at how cheap it was, I couldn't believe my ears. I had some decent savings built up from my RMT business. 10,000 yen was cheap enough that all I had to do was pass on buying a single figure. When I heard the price, and also that it was the last one the store had, I bought it immediately. The bonus was a cheap bangle bracelet. Total garbage. The true nightmare began once I bought the sword. Town Vanguard didn't ship. You had to walk home with anything you bought. Even if it was a toy, the idea of carrying this huge sword across the middle of Shibuya was enough to quench any excitement I felt. I'd already paid, though, and the clerk steadfastly refused to return my money. This was going to be incredibly humiliating. I had to walk down some of the most fashionable streets in Tokyo holding a giant toy sword. Of course, the DQN couples and well-dressed ladies all chuckled at me as they walked by. Damn it, I wish they'd all die. Well, Takumi, maybe you shouldn't focus on them. Maybe you should focus on yourself. And, maybe try having fun with the sword. Swinging around a toy sword might be fun as long as you don't, tap anybody. I headed home, delusions filling my mind of me swinging the sword wildly and murdering everyone in the street. Okay, I didn't mean it like that. I was finally home. I'd started running once I gotten close, and I was out of breath by the time I got up to the base. The cold gazes of the people I'd passed had really stung. I don't know how Senna had managed to endure this humiliation. It was something I could respect in a way. There was no way I could do it. Huh? I suddenly heard a sound from the other side of the base. Was someone here? I froze and gasped. I remember the smile I'd seen on the face of the demon girl who called herself Remy. Maybe she'd come back? This time, maybe she'd come to kill me. What should I do? Run? I could sense the presence of someone in front of me. The setting sun cast someone's shadow on the ground. It was clearly the silhouette of a woman. I quickly raised my D-sword. Holding it in my hands like this, I realized what a piece of crap it really was. The one Senna had held had a strange power and intensity about it. But mine didn't seem to have anything like that. Maybe it was a fake after all. Could I really fight with this thing? Not a chance. Even if it was real, I still couldn't actually fight someone with it. Holding it in my hands, it felt weirdly heavy. Maybe I was holding it wrong. It didn't feel like something I could actually swing like a weapon. The shadow suddenly began to move. It was coming closer. Stay away from me! I closed my eyes, thrusting the sword out in front of me at a random angle, not that I expected to hurt anybody with it. But I had a faint hope that this sword could maybe, just maybe, help me. But then, nothing happened. My foe didn't say a word. Maybe the D-sword had annihilated the demon girl with a single swing. If so, that would be incredible. Takumi, what's that sword? Huh? I opened my eyes, but instead of the demon girl, I saw Nanami. She was looking at me with contempt in her eyes. Nah. The tension drained from my body. I collapsed where I stood. Don't scare me like that. This was just awful. She was an awful sister. What kind of awful sister likes to entertain herself by scaring her brother? Who the hell did she think she was anyway? This is why 3D girls will always be inferior to 2D ones. I wasn't trying to scare you. I just came to see if you were alive like I always do, but you weren't here. I had to waste 30 minutes standing here worrying about you. I wasted a lot of valuable time because of you. Takumi, you jerk. Worry? She was worried about me. I refused to be fooled by such an obvious lie.
で、どこ行ってたの？出かけるなんて珍しいじゃん。携帯にかけても繋がんないし。
So, where'd you go? You almost never leave your room, and you weren't picking up your phone either. I'd left the phone in the base. I knew nobody would call me, so there was no point in taking it.
そもそも、その剣何なの？
What's that sword anyway?
もしかして買ってきたの？
Did you buy it just now? She was staring at the sword looking a little confused.
あ、わかった。アニメのおもちゃかなんかでしょ？ほんと、お兄ってオタクさんだね。
Oh, I get it. It's some kind of anime toy, right? You really are an otaku.
しかもこのおもちゃ、ちっとも似合ってないよ。
You look ridiculous with it too.
さっきだってへっぴり腰で構えちゃってて。思い出したら笑えてきた。
You looked so wimpy a minute ago when you were holding it. I'm laughing just thinking about it. I ignored Nanami and opened the padlock on my room, and tried to head inside.
ちょっと、無視すんな。
Hey, don't ignore me.
帰れ。
Leave. You know I'm alive, now go home. She was always making fun of me, and did nothing but complain every time she came here. If she really hated it that much, then she should just leave. I certainly didn't want her here.
あのね、わざわざ様子見に来てあげてんだから、もっとありがたがってよ。
Listen, I came all this way to make sure you were okay. Would it kill you to show a little gratitude?
せっかくお土産まで持ってきたのに。
I even brought you a present. She pouted at me.
お土産？
A present?
そう、お母さんが持ってけって。ほら。
Yep, Mom said to bring it to you. Here. She handed me some mandarin oranges, 10 or so, in a red net bag. It wasn't a great present. I'd eat mandarins if they were lying around, but they weren't exactly a favorite of mine.
というわけで、ナナもちょっと一服したいから、一緒に食べてあげる。
Anyway, I want to rest a little before I go, so I'll eat them with you. Go home.
もう、妹がお土産持ってきて、しかも一緒に食べてあげるって言ってるんだよ。もっと喜びなよ。
I can't believe you. Your little sister is here with a present and she's offering it to eat it with you. You should be happy. What was there to be happy about? Why would I want to eat oranges with my little sister anyway? She probably just wanted to eat some herself. She always was a big eater. She used to always eat my food too. We got in fights about it all the time. Nanami went inside the base, ignoring my protests. I had no choice but to follow.
お茶ある？あったかいのがいいな。
Got any tea? I'd like something hot. Of course not, I only drink soda. Nanami sat down on the sofa and took out an orange. I sighed and set the D-sword up against my computer desk. I didn't need the bangle, so I tossed it off into a corner.
あれ？それ何？
Huh? What's that? Nami quickly picked it up off the floor.
へえ、かわいいバングルじゃん。
Hey, this is cute.
これも買ってきたの？お兄にしてはいいセンス。
Did you buy this too? It's actually pretty nice, particularly for something you bought. Cute. How? It was just a cheap thing, probably not more than 500 yen. Nanami just had terrible taste. I ignored her and took a seat at my desk, grabbing an orange as I did so.
なんでこれ捨てちゃうの？
Hey, are you going to throw this away?
だっていらないし。
Well, I don't need it.
じゃあ
Hmm.
さ、これナナにちょうだい。
Okay, give it to me then.
は
Huh?
いいじゃん。どうせ捨てるならさ。
You don't mind, right? You were just going to throw it away.
お兄ちゃんらしく、妹にプレゼントの一つでもしてよ。
You should act like a real big brother for once and give your little sister a present. It's not a present, it was just some junk you want.
あ、勝手に持ってけば。
Fine, take it.
ほんと？やったー。
Really? Yay. She was certainly easy to please. As soon as I gave the okay, she quickly put the bangle on her arm. Such a sheep little sister. enjoying such a cheap gift.
お兄どう似合う
Well, Takumi, does it look good on me?
全然
Not at all.
あっそ
Oh, okay.
お兄のバーカ
Takumi, you jerk. I gave her a present, right? So why is she treating me like this? What kind of sister calls her brother a jerk? Where did she learn to do that? Go. Takumi. Where did she learn to do that? Go play 100 H games and learn how to behave properly. Look, I played enough H games and I know the characters in the H games do not behave properly at all.
バーカ
Jerk. She was smiling too. I was really getting angry.
これ気に入っちゃったからもう返さないもんね
I like this, so I'm not giving it back.
っていうかお兄からプレゼントもらうなんて初めてのような気がする
Actually, this may be the first time you've given me a present.
しょうがないから大事にしてあげるよ
I guess I'll just have to take good care of it then. Whatever, nobody asked you. I didn't even buy it for you.
もう用は済んだんだから帰れ
Anyway, you're done, right? So leave.
僕は暇じゃないんだ邪魔するな
I'm busy. Don't get in my way.
うん
Suddenly, she looked upset.
そんな言い方しなくてもいいじゃん
You don't have to be so mean, do you?
それにみかんまだ食べてないしお茶もまだ出してもらってないよ
I haven't eaten my oranges yet, and you haven't given me my tea.
おめえに飲ませるお茶はね
I don't have any tea for the likes of you.
うんか
Grrr. She glared at me, shoulders heaving with rage. Eventually, her eyes started to tear up.
わかったよそんなに邪魔なら帰る
Fine, if I'm really bothering you that much, then I'll leave.
ああさっさと頼む
Yeah, go.
う
Wah.
ーお兄のバカお兄なんてみかんの皮で目つぶし食らって失明しちゃ
Takumi, you jerk. I hope you get an orange peel in your eye and you go blind.
えあとバングルは返さないからねバカ
And I'm not giving back this bangle either, jerk. Her high-pitched yell echoed through the room as she grabbed her bag and flew out the door with incredible speed. At last the storm was finally over. Finally. Every time I talked to Nanami, I felt exhausted. Why did she keep coming when she knew how much I didn't like it? Read the room.
First melt は期待以上の結果に終わりました。
The first melt ended with better results than expected. Okay, Nozomi. This is the company? That was
G
like...
レートの上昇率は当初の予測からわずかな誤差があった程度です。
The increase in the GE rate showed only a minor deviation from initial prospects.
バイオリズムコントロールも順調なのかね
And the biorhythm control is going well too. Okay, so there's only one other game I've seen use biorhythm, actually two. But there was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and then Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, although I don't think biorhythm was that big part of that game, if I'm remembering correctly. But let's see. What does it say about biorhythm? A graph which shows the cyclic changes in a person's physical, sensitive, and intellectual states. It is commonly said that on a day when people's biorhythms are high, they are in a good mood and able to focus and perform well. On days when they're low, the opposite occurs. Huh.
渋谷の G レートは他のエリアと比べて高い値を持っていると同時に安定性についても特筆したものがあります。
Shibuya's GE rate is higher than the other areas, and it's especially stable too.
それゆえに意図的に操作しやすいということか。そして渋谷にいる人々のバイオリズムを急激に引き上げることもまた。
And that makes it easier to manipulate, and in addition, to drastically raise the people of Shibuya's biorhythms.
実験結果についてはレポートをご参照ください。納得していただける成果を上げております。
Please see the report for the results of our experiments. You'll be satisfied, I'm sure.
貴様が成果を出すのは当然だ。そのために高い金と多くの人材を提供しているのだからな。
It's only natural that you deliver results given the amount of money and manpower we're offering you.
実効性については理解しているよ。この数ヶ月だけでも我が会の信者が数倍に膨れ上がっているからね。
I understand its effectiveness well. My church has found its believers growing exponentially over the past few months.
それでは、プロジェクトノアは次の段階へと進ませます。よろしいですね。
Sorry, I guess I'm a bit tired. Project Noah will advance to the next stage then. Will that be alright? Okay, so Noah was added to... Well, there was the original Chaos Head. Then the re-release was called Chaos Head Noah. So, the simple fact that it has Project Noah, which is a part of the name, that's probably a big deal, isn't it? Project Noah.
コードサンプルの件はどうするのだ。すでに3人分は確保したとはいえ、目標数値には達しておらんではないか。
What about the code sample? We've secured 3 people, but we're not at the target number, are we?
いかにも。数
Indeed.
値達成のためには最低でも5人分はなければ厳しい。
Indeed, we need a minimum of 5.
サンプル保持者は集まりつつあります。あとは採取するのみ。
The sample holders are steadily gathering. All that's left is to take them when we need them. Okay, so Takumi's one of them. Okay, considering... Okay, so we only have 3. You know what other group also has 3? I think the 3 wielders of the D swords. So we currently have Takumi. We have Senna, the purple-haired girl, and then we have FES. So, yeah. So we have those 3. So would some other characters need to get D swords then? Like, for example, Misumi? Maybe Nanami. I don't know. Maybe they're not talking about the D swords at all. Maybe it's like a different group. So, I mean, Nozomi, right? There was the guy there for Takumi's thing, right? The Nozomi agent guy. So, let's just continue, shall we?
ならばその件は任せる。
I'll leave it in your hands then.
信仰の救いあれ。くれぐれも慎重にことを進めるように。
May the divine light save us. Go about your efforts with the utmost caution.
はい。心得ております。
Yes, I am aware. Yeah, I think I'm just going to quick save here. Yep. And basically, it's been Dean the Autist. I'm gonna take a quick break. You know, go to the bathroom and all that, and I'm gonna return here later. So, thank you for watching. It's been Dean the Autist. Have a nice day. Goodbye.